I woke up to find that Gale still hadn't come back. Well, I guess that's not entirely true. He came back, but he left me a note. I woke up to a rumbling belly and a full bladder. After taking care of my various needs, I came back to the sleeping area with a waffle sandwich and a cup of OJ. If you've never made one of these before, they're pretty easy to make. Take 2 waffles, mine are plain, but you do you, and cook bacon, eggs, cheese, and whatever spices you're going to use, then put it on a waffle. Add syrup or whatever. I added blackberry jam and consume. It's pretty tasty. I sat the orange juice down before I noticed the note. I slid it out from under the juice and saw that it was from Gale. His handwriting's pretty distinct, and I munched on the sandwich as I read the note. I found my appetite leaving pretty quick, though. I'd expected him to say that he needed some time, that he was sorry for what he had done, and how he was ashamed of killing the man. I didn't think he really had anything to be sorry for, personally, but people accept things in their own way. If Gale needed some time, then I sure as hell wasn't going to get in his way. I'd sit here and wait for him, and when he came back, I'd show him the journal from Celine, and everything would be good again. He'd be excited, and we'd strike out to find her, and then we'd find a way out of these stores and back to reality. What I read, however, was closer to a Dear John letter. Gale was leaving, and he might not come back. This is hard for me, but I need some space. I've been intending to leave for a little while now, but I feel you need to know why. I know you've recognized the slips when I talk to you, and as much as I'd like to use you as a replacement for my son, that's not fair to either of us. You just remind me so much of him, and it hurts me sometimes to be around you. It makes me miss him. It makes my soul hurt. It makes me realize that I've been scared to really go looking for him. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go look for Rudy, or what's left of him. I'm going into the ceiling. I'm going back to where it all began for me, and I'm gonna find him. Don't come in after me, and please don't blame yourself. This is something I should have done the day after he went into the ceiling, and I'm a coward for waiting this long. I don't want to gloss over what happened with the old man, because that was a big part of this decision. When he jumped on me, I was squished and lost my breath. As I lay there trying to get my bearings, I looked up, and for half a second it was like watching him choke Rudy. I could see his face, your face, as it turned purple, his eyes, your eyes, bulging out, and I acted in a blind rage. I've never killed another living person, never even really been in a fight, but killing that old man makes me feel bad. He was protecting himself as much as I was protecting you, and I just can't get over what I did. I went back after I'd calmed down and wrapped him in his flimsy blankets before setting it on fire and giving him a proper send-off. I tried dragging him through the door, but he was still dead. You can add that to your rules, I guess. Dead stays dead. There's no changing that. I laid him to rest, though, and doused him in enough lighter fluid to set half the store on fire. His trash burned with him, so maybe give FF a little while before you go back. Though I can't think of any reason why you would. Keep traveling. Keep learning. Keep searching. Find a way out of here. If I can come back, I will. For better or worse, I'm gonna see my son. Good luck to you, Alphabet Man. Good luck to you, my friend, Gale. I read it until the tears falling out of my eyes smeared the words. I threw the remains of my sandwich towards the back of the store. It had turned to ash in my mouth. Gale was gone. For better or worse, he was gone, and I was alone. I reached for the journal, wanting to throw it into the store as well, but couldn't bring myself to do it. It was precious knowledge, and it might help me find someone else who was trapped here. If Celine was still here somewhere, then I owed it to Gale to find her and try to help her out. It's what he would have wanted, after all. So I packed up some things, the journal being among them, but when I picked up the bag that the journal had been in, I felt something else in the front pocket. It turned out to be a second journal, this one older and held together with rubber bands. The spine had disintegrated, and it was just paper held between a cover at this point. It smelled foul, and I supposed it had belonged to the old hermit. He had likely stuck it in here for safekeeping, and I wondered if Celine's journal had been how we learned to travel through the stores. I didn't really want to sit down for long enough to read right now, so I tucked it away and decided I'd come back to it later. I went back to KK first, hoping Gale might have lost his nerve, but not expecting that he would have. I saw the familiar store, the chaos of the moved items and tossed aside merchandise, and it was hard to miss the open ladder in the middle of the floor. Gale had made good on his promise, it seemed, and now he had gone into whatever lay above. Whether or not I'd ever see him again, I didn't know, but I left a message on the door just in case. If he came back, I wanted him to know where to find me. Gale, meet me at the hub if you get this. Celine, you don't know me, but I'm friends with Gale. If you see this, stay here, and I'll come back sometimes to check. I have your journal, so if you see me, I'm a friend. Not sure what else to do. I started traveling again. I had no clue where I was going, but I knew that I wanted to make notes on all the places I could see. I wanted to make a complete folio of the stores, a guide to find particular places, and I knew that I'd have to explore to make that happen. It made me feel like a pioneer, charting a map for those who might come after me, though I wondered how they would ever get it. Would someone find it on my corpse one day, stuffed in a tattered old bag that had laid somewhere for a long time? Who knew, but it was something to do, and I was up for the task. I went back to the start, the destroyed remains of my first store, and made my way back from there. I had kind of flown through them on my first trip, taking in little and just plunging in for the sake of moving. I wrote down everything, made notes on all the stores I visited, and committed as much as I could to my phone for backup. I'm probably going to post more complete documents at some point, but for now, I'll probably leave it to little snippets. The stores are pretty creative, and not all of them are uninhabited, as I've mentioned. Not by people, though I've noticed things or spirits or something in some of these places. Here, I'll tell you about a few of the stores I've seen in my travels, since otherwise this might be a little dull for an update. D. Designation low danger. People 0. Food plentiful but weird. Theme: a Dollar General store where pets are people and people are pets. D is a perfectly normal store, but the roles of human and pet are reversed. The tags on the clothes, the models on the products, the advertisements, they all feature anthropomorphic animals. The pet food cans feature naked people looking at the camera in a lost and confused way. I've never seen any of the residents of this place, and I hope not to. The food here is edible, but it tastes like pet food. There's a lot of chicken and fish on the shelves, and all the cereal appears to be kibble. E. Designation moderate to high danger. People 0. Food limited but present. Theme: the floor is lava store. E has a floor that is made partially of lava. Some of it is normal floor, but you'll turn a corner and suddenly, bam, there's a river of lava. The music here is just the sound of lava flow, and it's stiflingly hot. The shelves contain food, but the lava flow will change directions sometimes, and it's dangerous to stay here for too long. The floor seems immune to the lava flow, and it's fine once the lava goes away. The food here is mostly spicy stuff, but it is edible. The walls of the store are made of rock, and it's like being in an active volcano. I haven't been brave enough to touch the lava to make sure it's hot, but it will burn other things. When I tossed a journal into the flow, it devoured it, and it wasn't on the floor when it left. F. Designation low to moderate danger. People, 4 to 5 creatures. Theme, the TV store. F is one of the stores with inhabitants. The beings who live here are dressed as normal Dollar General employees, but their heads are TVs. They mostly ignore you, but if you tap on them and they turn around to look at you, their faces are all staticky, so it's hard to tell if they're looking at you or not, but it's like you can feel their eyes on you sometimes. The weird thing is that all the food is in the TVs. The shelves are full of old-fashioned TV sets, and the food comes in the form of commercials. When you see the food you want, you reach into the TV set and take it. Sometimes it's fully cooked, sometimes it's frozen, but it's always real food. It's like that in every department, too. I pulled an entire futon out of one of them the other day, and I suspect that Gale had been using this one to stock up his safe house. Unlike the other stores, the TVs always seem to have products on hand, so they don't run out if you don't mind being patient. That's just a few of the stores I explored today, but they really do seem to be infinite. It's lonely now, traveling by myself, but I've been trying to leave behind signs in case Celine is still wandering around. I've been using the break rooms like Gale did and letting her know where I've been and what I've seen. I make trips back to KK a lot to look for Gale, but he hasn't shown up yet. I climbed the ladder the other day, just climbed to the top and stood there, staring into the darkness. If I were braver, I would have gone in after him. If I was braver, the last message might have been my last update. I stayed for a while, just thinking about what I was going to do. I had the infinite to explore, a huge number of stores to see and catalog, but it all seemed so pointless to me. It's like the cell phones we carry. They can access a nearly infinite amount of knowledge, but thinking about it is kind of a lot. We use it to watch videos of cats or argue with each other, because the idea of accessing the infinite knowledge there is outside our understanding. We don't like to think about the infinite. It's too big. It defies our understanding, so we scrape away at it, rather than just dive in. I could go anywhere, do anything, but my brain was telling me to sit and wait while it tried to understand all my options. That's why I was sitting in KK, laying on the front counter actually, when the last thing I expected to happen happened. The front doors slid open. It was sudden and nearly silent. I almost missed it, honestly, but it was the slight squeal of hinges at the end that turned my head. The door was open, the outside nothing but grainy darkness that seemed to move as I watched it. There was a lamppost out there, the only light to be seen, and the longer I looked at it, the more I knew why the moths had circled them. It was beautiful, almost too much to resist, and as I lay there looking at it, I wondered why I was resisting. Why did I have to stay here? This place was just more of the same. But the outside was something new. What wonders might I find out there? It's still open, inviting me outside while I write this. I put some food in my bag, some water, and a few other things. I'm preparing to go outside. I don't know if I'll be back again. I don't know if my phone will work out there, but if I can, I will. Maybe I'll find Gale out there. Maybe I'll even find Kenneth. Who knows? Till next time. You're still here. Thanks so much for joining us for tonight's spooky tale. If you'd like a little bit more spooky in your life, why not click on one of the videos that appears at the end of our story? Or maybe head on over to one of our playlists where you can get your fill of spooky content. If you like your spooky a little more tactile, I've got a new book that's come out. If you'd like your own copy, there's a link below in the description where you can get your own copy of my spooky book. If you like what you see here on the channel and think you might like to support in a more monetized way, then why not come over to Patreon or become a member on YouTube? Speaking of, let's go ahead and thank our members now. Thanks to Civ Garstad and Unicorn Hollow for being our spooky ghost contributors. Thanks to Janet, Lee Kendall, Saikat, Ronda J, Sue Casper, and Valinator for being our Spooky Skeleton tier contributors. And thanks to Hi Stacy, Winter, Xaronan, Stephanie Carrington, Tyler Parker, Cinnamon Fox, Sarah ASMR42, Grim Reaper, and TomBoiTopUwU for being our Ghostly Reader tier contributors. And a special thanks to Grim Reaper, who appears to have subscribed not just on YouTube, but also on my Patreon. Thanks, everyone. We just couldn't do the show without you, and your support is always appreciated. If you'd like to support the channel, then come on down to Patreon, or become a member on YouTube. Spooky Skeleton tier contributors, that's our $5 tier, get their spooky 12 hours early, at 8:30 a.m. as opposed to 8:30 p.m., my time, of course. And while Ghostly Reading is only a tier that's available on Patreon, you get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one on your doorstep in, hopefully, a timely manner. If you'd like a book, we have many on Amazon. I've got links below if you'd like to follow those. Should get you to my page so you can buy any one of my 8 books I believe we're up to now. I'm sure they'd look really nice on your shelf, and I'll sign them for you if you can find me out in the wild. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.